Is it welcome? Welcome to the Osceola's first impressions with Mark Salva following Florida State's loss to Florida. My name is Jerry Kutz. I'm here in Gainesville as the crowd is still celebrating the victory over the Seminoles. And I'm joined by Mark Salva. Mark, not a good day for the Seminoles, a backyard butt whooping.
Yeah, no, that was, humiliating is the only thing you can really call it if you're a Seminole fan. Um, that's exactly what it was. It was total lack of, we just outplayed. Just, we were in the game, and one of my notes here is all year the third quarter we've laid a massive egg, and it puts us behind. We're in ball games up to that point, and then third quarter hits and it goes sideways for a lot of different reasons, and it's something different every time. It's a defensive failure, it's an offensive failure, it's a coaching decision, it's penalties, it's stupid kicks. I mean, whatever. It's happened all kinds of different ways, but it always seems in the third quarter we come out at halftime and we lay an egg. So whatever Mike says in the huddle going into the half, he needs to change it up because it ain't working. That's that's one thing. Because we were in the game. I mean, the game was in the balance in the third quarter, and then the fourth down decision, which I'm sure we'll talk about in more detail. But that was first guessing it. It was I was texting our friend Jason Franza, and he texted me. I said, you got to read the room on that one. We just stopped them 3 and out to open the half, and Mike smells blood and water, I guess. I mean, they're struggling on offense a little bit. We were moving the ball at the time, and it bogged down. We just had a 3rd and 2, and we run a lag draw. We run a lag draw on 3rd and 2. I'm trying to fool them. We're trying to fool them by pretending we're rolling out and then hand it to the running back, and it doesn't work. So we go for it on 4th and 1, and at that point I'm like, Tommy's got to make that play. I wasn't in love with the call, but he's got to get a first down. He's got to find a way to get 1 yard. Yeah. And he just doesn't do it. And it wasn't a great call, but I've said it on here. I said it on here last week. Good players bad players make good coaches. Good players make bad coach, overcome bad coaching. Yep. And but he's got to make a play on that play. And after that, it's just downhill from there. But defensively, it was just humiliating. I mean, absolutely. It's one thing if you're going against an air raid offense and they're spreading the ball all over the place and guys are like whirling dervishes and balls are flying and all. But it's absolutely humiliating and taking away your manhood when they just jam it down your throat, methodically and just efficiently. And how many yards that boy have? He had, I'm sitting there looking at 266 yards, 7 yards a carry. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know where you want to start. I kind of started, but where do you want to go? Because I got a lot of thoughts.
Well, let's talk about the formations Florida ran. They got into an old school offense, didn't they? Lagway was a non-factor. And so
totally.
They got into a formation that they weren't going to beat themselves unless they fumbled it. And Ball's a hell of a running back. Bob Ferrani and his keys to the game, he wrote, Ball. And you got to stop him. And in my keys to the game, it was, could our offense do anything against their front 6, which, they have 5 of the 6 starters are 4-star players. They're good players. Their front's good.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get third down on them. We couldn't get fourth down. And so those were the two keys to the game. I mean, their offense, I think you broke it down. Why don't you get into that a little bit about what they were running?
Well, I was charting the game and tracking the personnel group and stuff. I mean, obviously the first, I think eight out of 9 plays, they were in 12 personnel. So they had 2 tight ends and 1 back. And, when I was coaching, that was my favorite formation, favorite personnel group. I love that personnel group because it's kind of like the eye. It's the modern equivalent of the eye. It's the 1 back equivalent of being in the eye because you have 7 blockers, right? Instead of the tight end and the fullback, you got 2 tight ends. But it makes you balance the defense. But it also gives you double edges, or in case if you go tight end wing, which they did some. Now you're out leveraged, or you have a corner or a safety as your edge player. Then you go unbalanced when you throw the wide receiver to that side, and now you've got a totally out shifted. So there's a lot of things you can do with that personnel group that facilitates a strong running. If you have a strong running back and good tight ends, and oh, by the way, our defensive weakness, both schematically and personnel wise, is setting the edge.
Right.
Our defense, we've had a problem with that all year. And I'm really shocked that nobody's really taken advantage of it up until now, honestly. But I mean, if I was going to put together a game plan against our defense, that's exactly what I would have wanted to do. If I had the ability in the system to implement that style of offense, because that was the perfect way to attack us, because we couldn't handle it. We didn't adjust to it well. And I mean, but just to methodically just jam the ball down our throat like that was absolutely humiliating. And they were in it the whole game. I mean, the whole game. There was only a few instances on third down where they weren't in that personnel group. So it wasn't like they were tricking us. There was nothing tricky about it. It wasn't. I mean, look, it was the job of a coach to find mismatches, both schematically and personnel wise. And they hit the double whammy when they came out like that. And, we had no answer. We had no answer. And that is that's the part that's really frustrating, is we didn't have anybody to put in there or an answer, or, to set the edge or something schematically to do, which I don't think would have mattered. It's mano a mano, X's and O's, not, it's not X's and O's, it's Jimmy and Joe's. So yeah, that set the tone of the game for Florida offensively. All that being said, they were still struggling a little bit going into the third quarter, like I just talked about. We had a chance. They were a little unsure of themselves up until that point in that third quarter. So, but you want to know why that guy had 266 yards rushing? That's why. Bottom line. So it starts and ends their offense against our defense.
Now in scheme though, let's talk about that. When you go to 2 tight ends and you see a weakness, Florida State does not defend the edge well all year. Is that Jimmy's and Joe's or X's and O's? I mean,
it's both. It's both. This scheme, this 3-3-5 or 3-5-3, however you want to put it.
Right.
In order to get to a 4-down lineman, you got to you got to take out one of those safeties and put in another defensive lineman, or you walk one of those, linebackers down, right? Yeah. Well, I mean that's not ideal. I mean that's not Jermaine. What's his name? Oh, the defensive end we had a couple years ago.
Jermaine Johnson.
Jermaine Johnson. It's not Jermaine Johnson on the edge.
No.
You don't see that. Right, or Verse. Right. That's not who you have out there. You've got 2 guys that, God bless them. They're trying, and I'm sure they're playing hard and whatever, but they ain't them. So, that's not our strength as far as personnel, but schematically, that's, we don't spend a lot of time in that. This defense isn't designed for this type of offense per se. I mean, the beauty of this defense is when you get into these spread formations, and you can disguise a lot of different things, and people try to run at that. But man, if you start lining tight ends off the edge, and now you've got mismatch. You got corners and safeties trying to set the edge. That's not good either.
What we really struggled, the corners really struggled setting the edge when they had to. Got a question here. What was your opinion of the beach ball delay that changed the momentum of the game and caused FSU to lose?
It wasn't the beach ball; it was the coin flip.
Yeah, yeah, that and the punt. I mean, not punting the ball. I mean, you're in the game at that point, 17-14. You stop Florida, like you said. Maybe Mike smelled blood in the water, but if you punt it there, you make them go 70. Instead, we gave them a short field, and they scored on 3 or 4 plays.
It had to be disheartening for the defense mentally, right? To give the ball with that kind of field position. But let's talk about the decision to go forward, right? Read the room. You're in the game. They just went 3 and out, so there's some doubt in their mind that the ball game is tight. They've been poor all year too, right? And so why give them anything to chew on? Why give them any confidence at all? Give them any hope at all? Okay. And look, I don't know that this is the case, but it sure seems like it to me. You have an offensive-minded head coach, and so the answer is always on the offense. And defense bail me out, right? As opposed to having like either a balanced head coach or a defensive head coach who's like, defense is my baby, it's part of the game. I'm going to punt it, and you got to go against my defense, right? No way because here's the deal: you punt it and make them go 3 and out again, deep in their own territory where they're going to be a little more risk averse, and we can stack the line a little bit and maybe outnumber them a little. Maybe they go 3 and out again. If you get them pinned back a little, you're going to get the ball right back where you were. You're going to be right back there in 3 or 4 plays. And
at worst, you burn some clock.
At worst, you burn a little clock, and it's early in the third quarter, so the game was still in the balance. I mean, this isn't second guessing. This was first guessing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. This. I think I'm not alone in thinking that was not a good decision. And look, you had to. And this is a preference in philosophy and whatnot. But on 3rd and 1.5 or 3rd and 1, which is what it was, don't try to trick them. Line up and be a man and get the first down. Don't guess. The time to run the little rollouts and trick plays and all that kind of things on short yardage is after you jam it down their throat a couple times, right? Don't do it right off the bat. So we try to run a lag draw. We try to fake sprint out Tommy, hand the ball underneath on a draw, and don't get it on 3rd down. And then on 4th down, they do this rollout thing. And so it's just I mean, make a bad offense drive the length of the field, exactly, because like they've been struggling all year too. They've been inefficient. They haven't been just a well-oiled machine. Make them do it. Put the game in your defense's hands for once.
Let me just say, from being here in Gainesville, they weren't. That crowd wasn't really into it at that point in the game either.
Mm-hmm.
And, it reminds me of that. Remember the fumble-rooski at Auburn, I think, in '92? Auburn was in the water. We ran that fumble-rooski and didn't get it. They scored, and that Auburn stadium went ballistic.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here. When we did that and they scored in 3 plays, now you got the crowd you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's read the room. So no, I'm with you. And it was kind of a highlight film or low light film of other decisions made in games past. And I think that was, if that's the first time he ever did it, I'd give him grace. But that was very disheartening. And I suspect as a player, aren't you affected by that?
Defensively, for sure. I mean, defensively, you're thinking, we punt the ball right there. We'll get the ball. I guess the team's leaving.
I
Yeah.
could mute myself, I guess, but go ahead.
No, well, no, obviously it was because they went down in 3 plays with very minimal resistance. I think and I hate to say they quit. I won't necessarily say they quit, but I mean, you're just making it hard on yourself. You deal with probabilities, and supposedly that's what the probabilities say, that if you make it there, you have an X chance to continue to drive the score. But I mean, like I said, read the room. You've been in football long enough, and I have too, and so a lot of people have watched a lot of football. You're the those probabilities go out the window when you're dealing with the variables that are football players that are not working at 100% efficiency, right? I mean, that's got to factor in too. You can't just sit there and look at a chart and say, okay, well, the chart says go that. Well, you got to factor in, well, we're playing well, they're playing good, or we're playing good, they're playing bad. The situation, I mean, there's a lot of other variables you got to factor in other than this down in distance, position on the field, time on the clock, and probabilities. If you do it 100 times, you're going to score 30. Well, this one time, it's got to happen. I need 100% certainty. I know I have 100%, near 100% certainty. If I pin them back, they're not going to get it all in one shot, and they haven't been very good either. And the chances of us getting the ball back, to me, would seem to be much better. But anyways, it's something he needs to think through and adjust his philosophy, because I'd be interested to know and go back and look and how many times, even if you do get it, you're on your own 40-yard line. There's no guarantee you're going to go the next 60, and score. Or you can kick a field goal. Heck, field goals are 50-50 at best right now. So, what are you hoping to accomplish there? What's your best chance to score? It's not that. I can tell you that. I mean,
well, then we had another 4th-and-1 decision in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And we could have taken points, hopefully.
Yep.
Holmes says, and I thought the same thing.
Yep. Second drive.
There's a risk involved in trying to get the field goal, but you tie the score 3-3, take the crowd out of it a little bit, and we left those points on the field. I don't know what our 4th down conversion is. I'll have to look at it, but it has not been good.
No, and again, it's one thing when you have continuity on offense, you have continuity in the running game. You have some things you can depend on. You have your base staple plays that you have great confidence in. But we don't. We have a mishmash of stuff that we just kind of do. We run the ball when the feeling strikes us. I guess it's not. It's this offense is, for all the yards and stuff it gets in the chunk plays. I think it's up to me. That's individual execution. These chunk plays that we get. But I mean, I don't feel like we have continuity in the offense in terms of, if you said what's our base running game, I couldn't really tell you. It's the reverse, really. I think we probably ran more reverses than we did zone plays. It's pretty damn close. Or quarterback draws. Yeah. I mean, we had Tommy Castellanos was our leading rusher with 77 yards.
Again.
I think the next highest was, let me see. It was Tommy with 77. So Chroma had 27. Singleton had 21. 5 and 2 carries. Those two. Tommy had 19 carries for 77 yards. That's your running game, right? I mean, it wasn't like he was, I mean, a lot of those were design runs. Most of those were design runs for him.
They were.
Is that, so that's our base running game, And then you think about the reverses. So Jalen Lucas had 2. I don't know if Randy Pittman had that reverse. Squirrel White had 2 reverses. Micah Danzy had 1. I mean, there's no continuity in the running game. So all that being said, you're going for it on third. You got 3rd and short or 4th and short. What are you going to do? You don't. that's got to factor into it too in the decision. You know, if I said I know 34 wham is 100%. You know, 4th and 1 on my 30. Guess what I'm running? 34 because you know it's 100%. We know because it's been tried and true. The boys know it 100%. They know every contingency that could possibly present itself, and they can handle it, and they will execute it. And I got great players in the positions that I need them in, and it's gonna, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you get that, yeah, sure, go for it. Chances are good, but when you don't have any continuity in the running game, you don't have something to hang your hat on. Now you're hoping and guessing that you're going to roll out your quarterback and he's going to make a play, which he's about 50-50, maybe. You
And
know,
you got to remember, Florida's got speed. You know, you're not going to just beat them on the edge. You know,
yeah.
and so and they contain that. They got out there and kept Tommy from getting the first down. That's for sure. Had a few hats over there.
But he's got to make that play. He's got to make that play. He's got to find a way. If it means putting his head down and trying to run over a guy, spinning, cutting back to the inside. I mean, he's got to figure out a way to get that 1 yard.
Yeah.
You know, and if he's half the player we all hope he was, whatever, right? You make that play. Jordan Travis makes that play. I promise you, he does. Right? Any number of guys, but for whatever reason, he's about 50-50 on some of those. You know, and the thing is with him is you get so enamored with the potential and the athletic ability and, you know, the deep balls he can throw. And I mean, he throws some really good balls, but again, he's about 50-50. He's about 50% completion rate.
Right.
I mean, this game he was 17 for 28, right? Man, but those 17 are really good. But I'd rather have a guy that's 80-90% consistent with half the flash, and you know, because I know what I'm getting, right? You know what you're getting, and you know, in coaching, there's an old saying, guys like that get you beat, honestly, and obviously, right? Obviously, and look, it's nothing personal on Tommy. I promise you, it's not. And I'm grateful for the effort he puts in, but he is who he is. He is the player he is,
Right.
and it's up to the coaches to manage that, and to harness that, and to put it in position to succeed. You know, but for whatever reason, we can't seem to find the answer on that one.
Well, you know that's the thing. You know, watching the game from, you know, the stands, and I don't know how much you can see of this in the game, but they were going, you know, man coverage, you
Yeah,
know, on our wideouts. I mean, Deuce was going against man coverage, and sometimes it was press man, sometimes it was, you know, they had a safety that could help him. And on the other side, Dancy was getting man coverage, and you just can't take advantage of it. You know, if you can hit some of those, they walk some guys out to help, right?
well, here's the sad part too on that. So on the sack fumble that he had, that was max protection. That was 7-man protection, man free underneath. They were, like you said, I saw they were manned up. I couldn't see the safety. The safety must have been deep. Either that or they were playing with 10 men. So I ran it back and looked at it. I could only count 10 men. So the safety must have been pretty deep outside the camera. Anyways, all that being said, they brought 5 guys. We blocked the tight end in the back and kept them in, sent out a 3-man route. And they brought 5 guys. And we had 2 offensive linemen blocking air, right? And 2 offensive line blocking air, and Pittman is trying to block the defensive end. He's the guy that got through there, pressured him, made him step up, and then the safety blitzed from way deep. I mean, he was 12 yards deep at the snap of the ball and came in, and he got there. So a couple things. Number one, you know, the scheme of the protection has got to be big on big. You always get your big guy. I always try to work every contingency to get my big guys on their big guys, and let my tight ends and backs block safeties and linebackers as much as I could. For Pittman to be blocking their defensive end is not a great thing. The other thing is we got we've got two offensive linemen sliding, blocking air, and then the back picking up. I think it was the back that was picking up the linebacker and didn't get him. I mean, or no, the guard came off late and got on half of him, and so when he stepped up, he was there to strip him, sack fumble. I mean, it was just poor execution. And so if we got 7 guys and we can't block 5, that's a problem. Number one. Number two, we've got 3 streaks going down the field. Now, after they left the camera frame and the camera panned in, I couldn't see what they did, but it looked to me like they were running go routes, all 3 guys going out for a route. He had nowhere to go with the ball. Now he could have maybe thrown a back shoulder fade, but you know what? The other thing is he didn't see that safety coming, or he didn't react to it. He reacted to it too late.
Protect the ball.
Protect the ball. And so, yeah, that's just a microcosm of the inefficiency and the things that seem to go wrong with the offense with this team is all in all, it's a good idea if you're thinking they're going to blitz and you can block 7 and then you got man coverage, but if they don't come, you got to figure out a way to get your big guys on the big guys and get some double teams somewhere, because there shouldn't be pressure 5 on 7, 5 on 7.
No.
But anyways, so that wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. I got somebody here that wants. They hope the Gators re-sign Liveway. Yeah, he's a talented athlete, but he does not give them a passing offense. That's for certain.
Well, yeah, you know what? But you know what? 3 years ago, we would have paid him $1 million to come here too if we had it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the folly of the situation we're in, right? Is giving players in high school who have never played it down big money based on potential, but that's their problem, not ours.
Well, it's yeah. I'm gonna show a couple of opinions here. Get the governor to get him out now.
I mean, I heard. I get it. A lot of this stuff is indefensible. It's indefensible. But the situation is what the situation is. And the money, the market, all that. So we talked about this last week. I don't want to rehash all of what we talked about last week. They made the decision that in the view of the administration is for the long term, not the knee jerk, not the short term, but the long term health of the whole program, the whole athletic department. This is the decision they made. So, got to go with it. Now, all that being said, I heard now that Florida is out of the Lane Kiffin deal, they're looking at the guy from Tulane. That's the guy they're looking for, right?
That's the rumor down here in Gainesville.
Yeah, the guy from Tulane. I don't even know who he is, right? I mean, so if Florida, an SEC school that gets $40 million more than we get every year, right? Or 40, they get 40 and we get whatever we get, right?
They get 80, we get 40.
They get 80, we get 40.
Multimedia rights.
Right.
The SEC, their viewership is double the ACC's. So They get paid $80 million per team per year. We get paid $40 million per team per year in the ACC, based upon viewership.
Right.
And
but my point is, if a team with that has those kind of resources in the SEC, with a conference where we'd like to be in, the SEC or Big Ten for that money.
Absolutely.
And that's who they're down to. They're down to the Tulane. Who would we be down to if we let Mike go? Right.
I mean, if we had paid Mike $57 million to go away and hired the Tulane coach, fans wouldn't be very happy about it.
Right. So, I mean, be careful what you wish for, I guess is what I say. And look, like I said, it's indefensible. This performance and the execution, but we're in a tough spot. We're just in a tough spot, and it's not real fun, and it's not anywhere any of us want to be.
Mark, I got I'm not technically savvy enough, but I have an email or text message I got tomorrow at noon. The Gators are having a rally at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium to fire the AD, right? And let me read it to you. Jeremy, hang on. And they're pissed off about not getting Kiffin. And it's entitled Save Our Swamp, Restore the Glory, Demand Accountability. Uh, they want to fire uh, immediately removal of AD Scott Strickland. It's a protest rally here at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium tomorrow at noon if you want to attend it. And,
Well,
and my point of this is
yeah,
if you're an AD and you got that kind of pressure on you to get Lane Kiffin, you're going to be willing to pay him $90 million a year for 7 years guaranteed, right? I mean, these ADs are making these decisions because if they don't get the guy, then the fans want him fired.
yeah.
You know, and
I
and
mean,
people ask why would a AD pay that kind of money to a football coach? Well, that's why. That right there.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's silly. It really is silly. Um, to pay that kind of money. Lane Kiff, and why would it's not his fault Lane didn't want to come. I mean, I imagine the money was equitable no matter what if whatever they offered him to whoever Ole Miss or LSU or whoever else is going to get him. I'm sure the money, look, Lane's got enough money. The money is not it's not the it's not the most important thing. I wouldn't think. It's where can he build a legacy and where he's the best chance to win now. Is it whether it's Ole Miss, LSU, or wherever? At least I would think that's what it is.
Well, this
Um,
what was circulated in the stadium, and I don't know what the reality is. If anybody knows, please text it in. But I understand that Lane is taking the LSU job and leaving Ole Miss. That was
okay.
the rumor in the stadium tonight. And what do you think? I mean, anybody on that's listening to this, if you know that that's official, please chime in. But so Danny posts here. Fans are clueless about finances. They're always, spewing about the problems with zero solutions.
Yeah.
I worked in administration for 19 years. I understand the finances better than most in the media, but it you're stuck between a rock and a hard spot when you're talking about this kind of money.
Yeah. And for our situation being in the ACC, um, kind of it magnifies it because we're competing against schools that have far more resources, plus all the capital projects we just financed. You know,
We have
so
$600 million worth of facility debt. Six
yeah,
hundred million
yeah,
of facility debt. And if fans don't buy season tickets, see, here's the other side of it. When you're in the admin, you're worrying about next year's season ticket sales. So if you keep Mike and people don't buy tickets next year, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
that's what it is. That's what it is. So I said it earlier. It's what is you got to look at long term. Okay, I think it's fair to say Mike's got one more year, right? After that, the buyout is significantly less. Correct?
It's about 8 million less.
That's it.
It's still
Huh?
50 million.
Yeah. So be that as it may, he's got to find some answers. I don't disagree that I don't know that Gus is the answer. Really, I don't. Tony White, I have not been overly impressed um, with it, but it's you're right. We're in a rock and a hard place, and it's the only way to get out of it is to work out of it. You know, find some players, recruit your tail off, figure out a way to get some good players in here because that's what it's going to take.
So
honestly.
here we have an opinion from Holmes. How do you get a high profile offensive coordinator come here with the uncertainty around Mike and a difficult schedule? Now, the good news for season ticket sales is that you got Florida and Miami at home, and that always, is worth about 5,000 extra season tickets. The schedule.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
So yeah, well, look, those answers will come here in the near future. Recruiting is going to be interesting here on Wednesday. Um, this game was like I said a complete disaster. Um, just we had no answers on either side of the ball. It just and that you knew that you were going to get Florida's best effort. I mean, you knew it, and they took their best player and gave him the ball. Imagine that.
yeah, it's pretty simple, huh? I
Yeah,
think I think I could have figured that out.
yeah. So, well,
Let's hope.
mercifully, the season's over.
Yeah, at Finn,
Mercifully,
let me give you some hope at Finn. Last year we didn't have much NIL money. I don't care what anybody says. They in 24 they didn't have much. Now with the board of governors allowing the university to transfer non-taxpayer dollars, what they call auxiliary funds, FSU has 20.5 million, 15 of which will be used by football to try to hold some of that recruiting class together, as well as keep the players you want on your current roster, right? So that's the good news. Is Florida State does have some money, to compete with in roster management. But so we shall see on the recruits on Wednesday. But, that's critical.
yeah,
You can't like Gladden says you can't win the Kentucky Derby with a mule.
no, you can't. It is gonna be interesting for a couple of reasons. The money is a big part of it, obviously, but so is Mike's ability to sell his vision. And the third thing, which is probably the most crucial, is what do the current players think, feel, about the staff, this program, where they're at, because that's the most critical part of recruiting is when you get those guys on campus, what do your players sell the program, and what kind of experience are they relating? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what they think, but I can tell you that the effort and the stuff I see on the field is it lukewarm at best. I don't see problems, but I don't see a lot of excitement either. You know what I mean? Um, I don't see, I don't see. I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it, but I don't get the feeling that this team is really close. You know, maybe they are. I don't know. It just seems to me it's a bunch of parts that have come together. It's not like you always hear you got to be greater than the sum of your parts. It just seems like we're the sum of our parts. You know, that's what it seems like. I might be wrong on that totally. And I'm nowhere near the program. I'm not close. I don't talk to these guys. I don't know anything. I'm just telling you what it looks like from Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you from talking to some of the parents of the prospects that the money, the NIL money is it's important. It tells you how much a school really wants you. But what most of the parents players tell me is they're looking at, can this coach develop my kid to get to where the real money's at, right? NFL. Do you have a coach on your staff that can get my kid there? And if they don't feel like the quality of the coaching, the development is good enough, they're not going to come, no matter if the money's equal, they're going to go where the better coach is.
Yeah.
And you look at a guy like Surtain, who coaches our corners. Kids want to come to Florida State to play for Surtain, and that is a very important part of the equation. I've got Holmes is suggesting when you got 15 million, you need to spend it on a quarterback, 3 offensive linemen, a wide receiver, 2 defensive ends, some linebackers, some DBs, and high school recruits. I don't think 15 million is going to get you all that, to be honest with you. When you see Miami Beck went for 4 million, their defensive ends go for 2 apiece. I mean, it's, when you're talking about putting a real roster together, you're talking 25 million to 40 million today. That's what Ohio State, Texas, they're up there in the 35 to 40 million dollar roster. So to me, we talk about we need a general manager that knows how to do this. Well, the general manager's not going to be any good if he don't have some money to work with, right? It's about managing the money you have. But what I think the number one thing Florida State needs to do is be able to increase that NIL opportunity by about 10 million over what they've had in years past. And that's easier said than done.
Well, the previous comment I think is relevant in that, the last thing he said there was you got to win the game you're supposed to win.
Right.
And I think when we look back on this season, now today's game, I'd say both teams were about 50-50, right? I think it's about as evenly matched, both attitude and athletically, probably. We had some better players in certain positions. They had some better players in certain positions, but overall, I think we're about the same, right? But when we play Pitt at home, we got to beat Pitt at home. We go to Stanford, we got to beat Stanford. We got to beat NC State. We were much better than NC State, personnel-wise. There's no question about it.
Agreed.
Virginia. Come to find out they. Look, we're Florida State, they're Virginia, but they had some good players in key positions that we just plus on the road. And by the way, this on the road thing's got to get solved. That's ridiculous.
Let's come back.
All that being said, we win the games we're supposed to win, that we're better than, the teams we're better than. This is much, things are a little brighter. This is maybe a little more palatable in that, not the way we lost, but the fact that we lose.
So I did some research on it. It was really amazing. I expected when I always take a roster and look at how many guys are 5-star, how many are 4, how many are 3, how many are unrated. And when I did it for Miami and Clemson, they were, they had a lot more 5-stars and 4-stars than Florida State has. I mean, if you believe in recruiting evaluations, they were superior teams. When I looked at the Florida roster, it was shocking. We had 1 5-star, Deuce. They had 1 5-star, Lagway. They had 3 4-stars more. That's all, just 3.
Yeah.
We had exactly the same number of 3-stars, and we had exactly the same number of unrated players in the 2 deep. Mm-hmm. So this team, the Florida team, was very equally balanced to this Florida State team if you look at star ratings.
It felt that way to me.
Yeah, it did. And Ball, by the way, Ball was a 3-star.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to hit on some of those too.
You got to hit on them. But going back to Holmes here, 15 million, I think it gets your quarterback. I want a big time. We need edges.
You need pass rushers and quarterbacks. It's just like the NFL. You need pass rushers and quarterbacks. Right. You need and look. Let me tell you something. We need some second level defenders, man. Juice Carr is a great guy. I'm sure Blake's a great guy, but they there are plays to be made that aren't made. A ton of plays to be made that aren't made. And so, yeah, that was not a good performance on our
Well, we
second
had
level
a good.
defenders.
We were able to get some good freshmen in last year. I mean, you can see the performance by some of the freshmen we've got. If we can sign this class, which is, that's a big if, you're going to get some more in here. And now that we've got that 15 million, I mean, I think you can compete for a better roster than the one we have. But to your point, we got to coach them, and we got to win games we're supposed to win.
Yeah, I said that last week. How many of these fans wanted Florida State to pay Mike when we thought we were going to lose into Alabama? I mean,
Listen,
he
if
could have. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't be knee jerk and short term react. On all this stuff, you got to look at the strategically. You got to look at the long vision of the program. What's best for the program long term? You know, I mean, it's
and the
yeah,
other thing is, well, to this point, if Mike had a lost, I mean, if Michael Alford had lost Mike Norvell to Alabama last year, which was a real threat, oh, people would have been fire Alford. I mean, how do we
yeah.
lose Norvell? He just went 13-0 and won an ACC championship. I mean, he's a good fit. How in the world did we let him get away? So you're exactly right. Um, let's see what else we got. I wanted to come back to, okay, I guess you may be describing 75% of the parents think their kids will play on Sunday. Exactly. Danny, you're exactly right. But
But it doesn't matter because they all think their kid is part of the 4%, and they're going to go where they think. Yeah,
and the best way to get them in the 4% is to get them with coaches who can develop them, giving your kid the best chance possible. But you're exactly right. I mean, 4% may be generous.
yeah, that's 1%.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 0.05.
Yeah.
Anyways. Well,
I
Jared.
was going to ask you, Mark, one thing before we get off tonight.
Yeah,
I don't have any answer for the away game, home game thing. You coached,
yeah.
you played. Is there something it could be that I don't
I
see?
yeah. This is new one on me. You know, the things that go wrong on the road don't necessarily go wrong on. Obviously it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing that I'm not familiar with. I've never seen something like this before. Now, consistency of performance is a thing. Fundamentals are a thing. The things that you do every day at the level that you do them at shouldn't matter where you do them.
Right.
The way that you think, the way that you process, the way that you prepare, um, the way that you play, the location shouldn't matter, home or away. It should.
What was
The
the
fact that
mind?
it does, I don't know why that is. I just
Did Coach Bowden did he have a different message for the team when we go on the road? He said us against the world or something like that. That the
I think
fans
just
like
just
that.
just in the preparation, if we were going into a place like Gainesville or Death Valley or either one, a place where it would be challenging, um, he would, all through the week prepare us mentally to handle it. Number one, we'd practice with crowd noise and all that stuff. We'd practice, how are we going to communicate? Um, but he'd also prepare us, to handle it. Yeah, kind of like, bunker mentality a little bit, rely on each other, trust the one next to you, love, trust, and support the one next to you, your teammates. And you just went in understanding that it was going to be, that was going to be a factor and that you're good enough to handle it. And this is how we're going to handle it. We're going to have alternative ways to communicate. And really it kind of helps a little bit because you are extra focused. You're not focused on the crowd and looking at your mama and your
Right.
girlfriend in the stands. And the other thing is you're on the road. You're in the hotel, for a day and a half, and you're with your teammates the whole time. It's not like that at home games. I mean, we used to go. I don't know what they do now. I know they go to a hotel the night before. We used to go to Thomasville, you know, at home, but that's only the night before. We'd meet during the afternoons and stuff. Um, but you're in the hotel. You're traveling. You're together the whole time. You have all this time. There's nothing to do in the hotel but watch film and do walkthroughs. You know, there's a lot of that, and so you know as a coach, I kind of liked going on the road because I got extra time with my players to really, really go through some detail stuff and really hone in on, the game plan. So yeah, I don't know why, Jerry. It, it's not happenstance. I can tell you that. I mean, 2 years means there's definitely something systematically that's not working in the way that these guys are prepared, in the way that they focus, because the things that happen on the road are things that get you beat. The turnovers, the penalties, the poor execution, the missed assignments, the whatever. There's no juice on the road for whatever reason. So, got to figure that one out.
Well, Mario, this is you and I both. Last year, I thought that last year was worse. This year there was some moments that we could celebrate. Uh, this year there was a few more than last year, but man, they've both been tough, and it's tough. It's tough being a fan. It's tough doing what Mark and I are doing right now.
I think the thing is, last year was definitely, as far as we're concerned at the time, we're like, okay, this is an anomaly. This isn't Florida State. It's never been like this ever, right? At least in my lifetime, following FSU. So you're just like, okay, we'll right the ship. It'll be right. Now it's 2 years in a row where we've been really, really poor, and so you're like, okay, is this who we are now? That's the scary part. That's the part that, you know, we want some hope, right? As a fan and supporter and alumni, give us some hope. And that's the genesis behind, fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach, because you want hope. You want hope in the next guy, right? Our hope in Mike Norvell is kind of run dry, and everybody wants hope. And look, of course, the media is going to drive the message, because the worst thing that can happen to a fan base is apathy. Because I can tell you right now, I have apathy for sure. I'm like, it is what it is. I got my ring, right there. I got my national championship. Okay, but so you can't take that away. But right now it's just like, well, we are who we are, and so there's apathy. That's the worst thing. The media is obviously going to drive fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach, because it gives them something to feed the fan base, to try to fan the flames and get some hope and what that. So that narrative is obviously going to be perpetuated. I'll say this. I think right now it's hard for me to say, but I think the best decision was to keep him at the time. Right now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
After this game, as I've been a Mike supporter, I always, because I do like him. I do like the energy he brings consistently. I like how he righted the ship. After Willie and things were in such disarray, the organization and the structure and the consistency was really good. He's a really smart guy, but he's definitely got some holes, and he's definitely got some shortcomings.
Well,
and
I'm with you on liking Mike, all the reasons you said. And the thing is, I think the guy truly does care about his players. And you hear that from the players. And a lot of the recruiting visits, the kids that are, visiting and signing with FSU have said that the current roster thinks Mike really cares about them. And he demonstrates it in ways that are tangible, like with Ethan Pritchard after practice. Instead of going home to be with his family, he was going to the hospital and sitting with Pritchard's father. And, as he was trying to survive. And that tells you the guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
And why I support him. But you got to win, right? All that stuff is good, but he's got to find a way to win.
Well, he's got to take a long, hard. You think he done it last year, but he needs to take a real objective look at why this team the past 2 years has failed miserably, and what can he change, and what does he have to do different? You know, what are the things that he does that puts us in these positions? Because there are some tangible things. Well, not fourth down decisions notwithstanding, there's probably things systematically that he needs to change, because this team is not as well prepared as it should be, as evidenced by losing to Pitt at home, and as we said before, Stanford and et cetera, right? That can't happen. That is the thing that gets you fired the quickest, is losing those kinds of games. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
Navin,
because he is a good guy. I mean, he is a good guy in all of that. But man, good guy. This is a performance-based industry, 100% performance-based industry, and the performance isn't there.
so here's an interesting comment. I'll let you comment on it, Mark.
Which
Caring
one?
is less than coaching. But talk about, don't you think that, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you
How
care?
much you care? Yeah.
I mean, isn't that true in coaching?
It's true in anything. It's true in look. It's one thing I've learned. Being out of coaching now for however long it's been, 25 years. But even anybody will tell you, think about your boss, right? Is your boss in it to make you better? Is he in it to elevate your skills and to make you more money and to all that stuff? Or is he in there to use you to elevate his career, right? It's the same thing in coaching, the same thing in business. Is the best leaders are the ones that, best way to put it is like a servant leader. I'm here to serve you. I'm here for you, right? I'm here to make you better. That kind of guy. If that's the kind of guy that is leading your organization, more than times than not, I mean, you're going to get buy-in from the people you lead 100% of the time. It's been my experience in coaching and in business, and I think most people would agree with me on that. The worst bosses I've ever had and the worst coaches I've ever been around were the ones that could care less about players or you, and you were a means to an end for them to advance their career. If you get that, you're going to get a bad attitude.
I asked Mickey Andrews one time what was the hardest part of coaching a person. He said developing trust is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't coach a guy unless he trusts you.
You can't coach him. You can't coach him hard.
Right.
You can't coach him like Mickey coached him. Right. You can't coach him like, got coaches I've been around and the way I used to coach.
Wayne McDuffie.
Wayne McDuffie. I mean, even I always told my players at the beginning of every season, it's my job to strain your potential. I criticizing the performance, not the performer, much like we do here. It's nothing personal against any of these guys. It's all about the performance. I'm criticizing the performance, not the performer, right? And in order for me my goal is to make you the best you can be, whatever that is. And I'm going to play the best players regardless of anything. The guys that do it consistently, do what I ask them to do, and do it the hardest and do everything correct. Those are the guys that are going to play. I don't decide who plays. You decide who plays. That was always the spiel, right?
Yep.
I'm not playing a guy because he's my favorite. I'm playing him because of those things I just laid out.
He's the best you got.
He's the right. And so, that's the criteria. So That's how you win trust. Because if you start playing favorites, and I've been in on a staff where guys have been played favorites before, the whole thing just crumbles. The whole thing just crumbles because you can't trust. Number one, you can't trust that coach. Number two, you can't trust the guys he's coaching because there's guys on the field that shouldn't be on the field that don't do it the way I did it, or haven't worked as hard as I worked, and it's the whole foundation just crumbles. And I don't get the sense that's what's happening here at all. But your point is, and the point with Mickey is that when you have that consistency and that attitude as a coach, you can coach them as hard as you want to coach and make them as good as they can be.
Hey, that's a great question. I mean, why do you keep making bonehead calls and hurting the team?
He doesn't think they're bonehead calls, obviously.
Yeah.
He thinks that's the best chance to win the game, and that's the problem. He's got to change his thinking on that. He's got to trust his defense to get the ball back in 3 plays. Not to bail him out and put him in a bad position on the 40 yard line. Put him back on the 15 or the 20 and make him go 80, and let your defense do it from that position. Give him a little break. Because like I said, you're going to get the ball back if you can do that. If you trust your defense enough to stop them from the 40 going in, then you damn sure should trust them from the 20, right? And you're going to get the ball back right where you had it.
100%. I'm a defensive oriented guy, so punt it and live to play another day. A punt is not the worst thing in the world.
No, every drive should end in the kick, right?
And the kick, right? And that's what El Pasta here. He's chiming in on that. Interesting on that running back on 4th and 1. I don't know who was in the game at that time.
I think it was Roydell. Was it Roydell?
Was it Roydell? He's a power back, but they didn't hand it to him.
No, they ran a lag draw. They handed to him with his feet flat-footed, 5 yards deep on 4th and 1.
Right.
It was a lag draw. I mean, that was, I didn't like the play call on 3rd and 1. It was 3rd and 1.
It was 3rd and 1 day, or 2.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
We're talking about on the first drive. Who was that? I can't remember who it was on that first drive. The second drive when we went on 4th and 1. Can't remember who that was. Anyways, all that being said,
all right. So we need to wrap it up, and we're going to do this again as a postseason wrap up, and we'll come on here and do it for 2 hours if you want. A lot of good comments coming in last week and this week. We appreciate everybody's sharing with us tonight. Hang on just a second. Yeah, Roydell. I mean, he's right. We didn't give the ball much to Roydell in the game, and he says I'd rather go with Pittman in the Wildcat, and I'm not against that, But why not just run a damn eye back and hand it to Saul?
To me, I'm thinking run duo or inside zone even. Dress it up all you want to with all the goofy little motions and shifts, but get that guy running downhill, run it out of the pistol, hand it to him running downhill, and let the line come off the ball. But whatever.
But you got to work that all week in practice. It's got to be part.
Well, that was my point. We don't have a staple. We don't have a staple running game. We don't have a running game that we just say, we can run. We can get 3 yards on against any front anytime we want. Regardless of the situation in running game. We don't have that.
Hey, listen, Mark. Let me thank you for enduring this after these games. We've unfortunately had 7 of them this year, 5 and 7. We finished.
Jerry, is there everything I can do not to turn the TV off after the 3rd quarter? I promise you.
It's tough to watch. What happened to that philosophy? Power.
Florida, it's alive and well in Gainesville.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure you couldn't do it with 32. You know,
Well, we have Biscuit and Pittman, as well as Landon Thomas. I mean, we got tight ends at the yin yang. Whatever.
yeah.
Not my. Yeah. Whatever.
Let me sign off.
I'm
I got to
done.
drive back to Tallahassee tonight, and
Better you than me.
yeah.
All right,
Thank
Jared.
you all
Appreciate it.
for participating. The Gus Bus, yeah. Uh, thank you so much for doing it. We're going to sign off and love you all. Thanks for supporting this Osceola program and the Osceola publication. We've got a $49.98 price right now, limited time offer for an entire year, $4.98 a month. So if you want to jump on, just go to theosceola.com and sign up. We would really appreciate it. Need your support. Thank you all very much. Mark, I'll talk to you soon.
Go Knowles, always.